Definitely more intense. Yeah, I mean, you can even just tell. She's bright. She's blinding. Like holiday season, we are going to be glowing. Hi you guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I'm so excited for this video because we're doing a Sephora sale video. The Sephora holiday sale starts, I believe, today, or not today, but the day this video is going up. And I think, so it's the 28th of October to like November 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that. I'll put the information on the screen now. And I'm really excited. I love a Sephora sale event. I just do. I already have my cart ready. I'm amped. I'm replanning a bunch of stuff. Let me know what you get during the Sephora sales, or like in general sale events. You get like gifts, you replan your stuff. I tend to replan my stuff, and then if there's something specific I know I want to give to like friends or whatever, products I personally would recommend, then I like buy them then. But sometimes I just wait because I'm not really, the Sephora sale event usually starts relatively early and my brain isn't quite in the holly jolly full-on full-fledged holiday season because it's not even Halloween yet, so I kind of can't get in the headspace yet. But I'm excited to get in this video. I have a lot of good stuff, a lot of good options, and I'm gonna give you like the full like spam, all the options that I feel like, depending on your skin type or depending on your preference, I'm giving all the options of things that I love that I think would work for you if you like a certain type of formulation and all of that. So I just want to jump in and get started because this is a long video. I have a lot of products. So if you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the Sephora holiday sale event video. Sephora holiday sale, clean beauty recommendations. Let's get into it, you guys. So first I'm going to start with brows, and the reason for that is I'm kind of going to go in order of how I do my makeup. I always do my brows first because I like to use clear brow products right now, and you don't want the clear product to get too messy. It's going to get messy, it's natural, but like to get it too messy, so I like to do the clear brow product first. And the product I love, and if you've watched this channel before, you already know, you already have it in your cart if you like my recommendations. It's this, the Rose Ink Clear Brow Gel. Now, I love this brow gel. It's really good. It holds my brows in place all day. And the spoolie is really nice, especially if you have thicker brows, but it works obviously too if you have thinner brows. But this is great because sometimes I find spoolies that have like a really, really thin brush, just like, I don't have like the thickest brows in the world, right? But like, it just almost like I have to like keep dipping and whatever, but with this it's just like a great spoolie, holds my brows in place. I'm obsessed with this. Brows don't move, so good. And it gives you like a flexible hold so it doesn't look super jelly and fake, because as much as I love a super fluffy looking brow, like that's life, it's just the most perfect brow look. Sometimes it can look too jelly. This is really good. So the next, I love this brow pencil, the Westman Atelier brow pencil. I wear the shade Bark in this, I believe. Yeah, Bark. And this is great. So it's, if you have thinner brows, this might be something where you just have to be a little bit more careful, just because it isn't a super pinpointed product. It's more of a slant, but I love that. This product is a perfect cross between like a very traditional brow pencil and my like obsession of life, the PYT brow pencil, which is like really waxy and literally doesn't budge and is so good because it is super waxy, but it isn't quite as waxy as the PYT one, but also lasts really long. Now, this is an expensive product, I know. It also has a spoolie on the end. It's an expensive product, I know, but it has a lot more product than a regular brow pencil. So this is going to last you a lot longer. Like for me, I've had this brow pencil longer than I've pretty much had any other one besides the PYT one. The PYT one lasts super long too, but this still lasts longer. Really good. Highly recommend. And again, you don't have to repurchase it as much, but if you prefer something a little bit more pinpointed, maybe this isn't for you, but I can create like really good brows hairs with it, and I do have some on the ends. My brows are really sparse right now on the ends because the universe is against my brows right now. It's just like not working out for me, even though I'm using something to help them kind of grow back a little bit. But this is really good. I'm using castor oil, by the way, if anyone is asking. It's working well. Okay, so the next, let's move on to skin products. I have a couple different options for, you know, what your preference is. First, the Tower 28 tinted sunscreen. This is really good. I have this in 2 shades. This one is the shade Runyon. I also have the shade 45 Silver Lake, I believe is the name. Really, really good. This is such a nice coverage. And it's a thin consistency, but it isn't super, super liquidy. So some people just don't like the liquidy formula of some products, which I completely understand. So this is the shade Runyon. So this is the lighter of the 2 shades I have. I like to mix them together a lot. And let me just show you what this does. This is incredible. Like, look at that. It just gives you the most beautiful glow. It's not too glowy, which is nice. And it gives you beautiful coverage. It has SPF in it if that's important to you. I mean, still wear SPF underneath it. SPF underneath stuff that has SPF in it is important. But this is a tinted sunscreen, so this kind of gives you a little bit more protection than other things that have SPF in it. But really, really good. This has an SPF of 30, I believe. Yeah, 30, and it's so good. Doesn't make you too shiny. Has like a nice like medium coverage, light to medium coverage. You can even get a little bit more depending on how much you layer, but it just melts into the skin, gives you a flawless finish, but it looks like skin, and that is just, I don't know, I love that. It's just so good. I'm obsessed with it. I highly recommend it. I have a whole video on like a lot of these products, so I'm not gonna yap on too much, but really good. Okay, so let's move on to this. So a lot of people have been loving, and I've been getting a lot of questions about super like light coverage. Nothing that is like, it's something that just gives you the Chanel like that foundation that's really sheer, that also looks like the rose ink one that has like the little balls in it. It has like that really sheer coverage, but it gives you something. This is amazing, and this will give you that, but like the shade range is really, really good. So this is about sheer to light coverage. I don't like to apply too much of this, so I kind of have it more sheer plus as opposed to going full light coverage. I'm obsessed with this. This is gonna be one I'm grabbing constantly in the colder months. Like, my skin has been Sahara dry. My lips, literally, I don't even know how they're existing. They're so dry right now. And this has been really good. It just sinks into the skin. This feels very much like skincare. The shade range is really good. So I wear the shade 5 in this. Incredible. Just, it's a very, very versatile shade range too, because again, it is sheer, but it gives you just a beautiful, beautiful coverage. And I know it seems like, oh, sheer, what's that gonna do? I swear it does something. In the video, I did a full review of this. I try this on for you guys in that video. So if you want to see how this kind of like wears on the face and how it looks on me, just do a couple dots for you. How it looks on me, you can see it in that video when I do a full try on. But this is just, I'm obsessed with this. And although, again, it is sheer coverage, like even you can look on the back of my hand, it does make a difference in terms of coverage. And you can just see, it kind of gives that effect of like a stocking, like one of those sheer like stockings that you would have, your parents would make you wear to like, maybe not your parents, but like my mom would make me wear to like concerts or whatever it was where I was like performing, like that really sheer, like almost like perfecting look, but it is basically looks like nothing kind of thing. It's incredible. So good. So let's move on to bronzers. Now I have a couple of different bronzer options, and some of them are different because of undertone. So let's get into it. If you like a stick bronzer, the LYS Beauty bronzer, I wear the shade Harmony in this. It's beautiful. I love this bronzer. It's just so good. Super, super creamy. Out of all of the bronzers I'm mentioning today, the cream ones at least, it is the creamiest. It is beautiful. Just blends into the skin like literally like butter. Look at that. It's just so seamless. Shade range with anything LYS Beauty is unmatched. So if you're a person that has a hard time finding a good shade match for you, because obviously some brands just are not inclusive enough, which is infuriating, or if you find that you kind of struggle finding like the right undertone, LYS Beauty is like your girl. Run and grab her. Looks beautiful on the skin, super easy to apply, super creamy, and just gives the most beautiful flush. And it has, for people with darker skin, you know, medium to truly, truly deep, they have like a good neutral range, which doesn't necessarily mean super ashy or super pink or anything like that. It means neutral, which is like a combo, kind of, at least for me in my head, of kind of all the shades, like all the undertones. And you get a really, really nice range where like Harmony is definitely neutral, but it also has a touch of warmth to it, so it doesn't look flat, because I think a lot of the time neutral stuff can look super ashy, especially when it goes to the darker tones. So this is really good. Okay, so the next, let's go on to like creams in a pan. So I have two options here. Now, it kind of depends on your undertone and what you prefer, which is why there are two recommendations, but these are really similar formula-wise. I would say the Rose Ink one that I'm holding here is a little bit drier, so let's get into it. Say Beauty Cream Bronzer, Rose Ink Cream Bronzer. Now, these are definitely very different in undertone. I'm gonna show you. And the formulas are similar but different. So, here we go. You can see here that the Rose Ink one that I'm holding here is definitely more neutral. Now, the Say Beauty ones tend to be a little bit more on the warm side, and some people love that, or it works really well for their undertones. So this is the Say Beauty one. This is the shade Medium Bronze. This works great on my skin. I really enjoy this. I would say the Say Beauty Cream Bronzer is a little bit creamier than the Rose Ink one, but I really enjoy. Now let's move on to the Rose Ink one. So I really like this cream bronzer. It's a perfect neutral. If you like something neutral but you also don't want it to look ashy, this is really good. So this is the shade Seychelles, and I would say that their entire shade range that they have, and it's not that many, I do hope they expand it, has like really good neutrals in it, and they blend so well. This is a little bit more on the dry side comparably, but it's not super dry or anything, but comparably to the LYS Beauty one and the Say Beauty one, it's a little bit on the drier side, but I do enjoy that, especially if I'm wearing something underneath that is super dewy. Adding something super dewy on top sometimes can make me look like a sweaty mess, and sometimes I want that and sometimes I don't, so it kind of depends. So now let's move on to powder bronzer. So I have two options. I don't think you'll be surprised by either of these if you watch this channel. The first one is the Ilia bronzer. I have the shade Novelty here. I would say that the Ilia bronzer skew a little bit warm, but not like Cheeto. Like, we're not looking like a carrot. We're not giving Oompa Loompa, if you will. We just have a little bit more warmth to them. And again, these have 4 shades, so the shade range is a little bit limited in that sense. Next, we have the LYS Beauty. This is not the right, I'm grabbing everything wrong in the wrong order. Okay, so the next we have the LYS Beauty bronzer. This is the shade Courage, and I would say that LYS Beauty has just like such a good shade range in general for like most complexions, and if not all complexions, and they do a really good job of continually expanding their shade range. So it's not like they drop 4 shades and then they run away and come back 2 years later and go, we expanded. Like, they expand and expand as time goes on, and they get feedback, or you know, they're expanding and they have like their first drop, then they have their second drop not that shortly after. Really good. So this is incredible. I love this. They have great neutral options. Both of these bronzers melt into the skin. They look really seamless, and I personally, as we go into like fall and winter and all of that, I love a cream, but when I want longevity, especially when it's like super windy and I'm wearing a lot more layers and I have like more stuff, I prefer a lot of the time powders. Going like for my cheeks specifically, really good. I like these a lot. So the next, let's move on to concealers. Now I have a couple of options depending on your preference. Now, no one's going to be surprised by the one that is like at the top of my list, the Rose Ink concealer. Super good, super creamy, blends into the under eye seamlessly, gives you great like medium plus coverage. I wouldn't say it's fully full coverage, but gives you great medium to medium plus coverage. I will say the shade range is a little bit tough in terms of like figuring out your shade. I have 2 shades. My shade is LX100, and then I have also the shade LX90 for like a more highlighty shade. I do believe I'm gonna grab the shade LX80 for a little bit more of a neutrally peachy tone, because LX90 is a little yellow. I mean, it works. I can blend it all out. It works seamlessly, but these are really good. Again, like, they're always at like the top of my list, and I'll be shocked if honestly if something knocks this out of like where it is. Now, this one like has been replacing the rose ink one on my vanity because I've been using it so much, but it is not necessarily knocking it out of its place. But this is the Cool Feet concealer. I wear the shade Mango Drop in this one. So good. I'm wearing it under my eyes today. It's a really, really nice concealer. And it has a little bit of a sheen, if you can't tell, which I love because I like a dewy face, so I don't like always necessarily that my under eyes don't really match energy-wise, if that makes sense. So having something dewy under my eyes is really nice. Both of these are like super hydrating, obsessed. And then if you like something that's a little bit more light coverage, I'm really, really like the Say Beauty concealers, and it has a sheen. So like it's more light coverage, but it has a sheen, so the light coverage still like gives me coverage. I have really, really dark under eyes. It still gives me enough coverage because the sheen kind of acts as like a reflection, and it kind of just is, it's just so good. I like to wear it alone with makeup. I will say though, picking a shade was a little bit tough. So I originally got the shade, is it 4? Yeah, I got the shade 4 because it's meant to be more of a brightening concealer, but I felt like it was not like dark, but it wasn't super, super brightening. So then I got the shade 3, and I kind of interchangeably love these. And these are so good for like just running out the door days. Incredible. Okay, so next let's talk about how I like to cover my hyperpigmentation, because I have a lot of it sometimes. The Merit Beauty Concealer Foundation Sticks. Obsessed. I mean, I've talked about this since they've launched. I'm obsessed with them. I have 2 shades. I have the shade Buff, which I use for all over my face, but also if I want a really, really like skin tone, like not bright under eye skin tone, that sounds, hate that description, but I want something that is very much not brightening under my eyes, I go Buff. But I also have the shade Sand for when I want to brighten it up a bit under my eyes, but this is so good, doesn't crease. Mascara doesn't run with this if you use this under your eyes. It's just not my favorite necessarily for under the eyes. Like I really like it and I will use it. I prefer something that is a little bit more liquid. That's just my preference for under my eyes, but this is really good. And the shade Buff for concealing my hyperpigmentation is incredible. I'll like take my finger and just dot it, or I will take a little bit a back of a just like the back of a brush and just, or a concealer brush, and just use it. So, so good. Really, really big fan of this concealer foundation. And you can also wear it as a foundation, and it's nice as a foundation. It looks really nice. Again, I just prefer something that is a little bit more liquid and creamy than these. And they actually, this is their old packaging. They made it bigger. So it's definitely worth the money now. They like doubled it in size almost in terms of how much product you get. Didn't increase the price. And the packaging is a little bit more of a like mushroomy tone. Really, really cute. Okay, so let's move on to highlighter. And I have a couple of different options depending on your formula and what you're looking for in a highlight. So let's get into it. First, cream highlight. Obsessed with this. So this is the Rose Ink Cream Highlighter, and I have the shade Prismatic, and it's gorge. I mean, you can see I like dip my finger in it all the time, and like look at me. She's cute, angelic, youthful, blends into the skin seamlessly. This shade will look incredible on so many skin tones, tones in so many skin tones. It's so, so good. I'm a huge fan of this highlighter, and such a little bit goes a long way. Like I will be shocked if I run out of this like literally in the next year. It's so I'm obsessed with this. It is incredible, and definitely worth getting during the sale, because it's not, I believe it's $30, so it's not the cheapest thing. Okay, so the next, let's move on to liquid, because I know a lot of people love a liquid highlight, and the LYS Beauty highlighter is just so good. And this is their liquid highlight here, and I'm just going to show you. I have the shade Brave. And I mean, look at this. And although it looks, because I'm in studio light, so remember, everything's going to look a little bit brighter than it is in real life. It is like the perfect highlight for someone who just wants a glowing from within look, and you don't want it to be super, super bright. Now, if you want a super bright highlight, which I know a lot of people love, I got you. But this one's really good for not necessarily like, it's like natural, but it's not so natural that it feels like it's doing nothing, if that makes sense. Like if you love a highlight, you'll probably still enjoy this if you love a really blinding highlight. I do, and I love a blinding highlight. Like I want to glow to the heavens. I want my neighbor down the street to be able to see my cheeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love a highlight like that's super bright, but this still gives me enough. It's really good and it looks beautiful. It just melts into the skin. So good. Okay, so next let's move on to powders. I have two options and they're different. So let's get into it. One is the Ilia highlighter. I have the shade Starstruck in this. And let me just swatch that for you. Can you see? It is just so gorgeous. It gives you highlight, but it's not so intense. You know, it looks definitely more natural, but still like highlight, but it isn't super glittery. It has like a very, just like a sheen. I don't know. It's like a little shimmer. It's not intense, but it gives you something. It's beautiful. And I do like to layer my creams with this. It's just so gorgeous. Because, you know, sometimes you do a cream, then you want to powder on top so it doesn't move all day. Really, really good. And this photographs beautifully. But it also looks really nice in person. And if you wet your brush and then you apply it, you get a little bit more out of it. Like, you get a little bit more sheeny sheen, but also it melts into the skin beautifully when you do that. And then next, the LYS Beauty, that same highlighter in the shade Brave, but like she's blinding. So if you love a blinding highlight, let me tell you something. I got you. Really, really pretty. Definitely more intense. Yeah, I mean, you can even just tell. She's bright. She's blinding. Like, holiday season, we are going to be glowing. People are going to think I'm Rudolph leading the way. I'm going to be able to lead my way with my cheeks for Santa to find the houses. So good. Obsessed. And it melts into the skin really nice. It doesn't stay on the skin. But again, you can use that trick of using setting spray a bunch of different ways to kind of get the shine that you want or melt it into the skin or whatever. Okay, next let's move on to blushes. We have a lot of blushes, but I have a sickness. I'm obsessed with blush, and like a million formulas. So we're hitting it all. Powder. I don't think any of you were surprised if you watched my videos recently. The Gen Nude bronzer from Bare Minerals. I have two shades. They have 3 total. I have the shade. Oh my gosh. These also the swatch of this specific one. Can this open? This is the shade Kiss of Copper. I mean, it's so good. And then I also have the shade Kiss of Pink. And then they have one more shade, which I might get because I have a sickness. I have a sickness. Can you have enough blush in your life? The answer is probably, but like, will I ever have enough? No. Just gorge. So pretty. So this is like the most perfect, like spring pink, like summer, like innocent cheek type of vibe. And then Kiss of Copper is gorgeous for like that really, really like, oh, I was just in the sun sweating, or even like going into winter, I'm really loving Kiss of Copper, and I'm kind of retiring my Kiss of Pink for right now because I'm liking something a little bit less pink on my cheeks. Okay, next let's move on to creams. I have 2 cream options that I'm loving that are in a pan. So first I have the LYS Beauty cream blush. Love this. And this is in the shade Confident, but they have a million shades now. This is a really, really long-lasting blush. So the other one I'm mentioning is also really long-lasting, but this is so long-lasting. Shade range is incredible. Melts into the skin. Really, really good. I'm obsessed with this. And again, shade range is unmatched. I actually tried this on in a video, so if you want to see what this looks like, the specific shade looks like on my complexion, you can check it out. And also how it wears. It's beautiful. And it has like a nice sheen to it, but it isn't too shiny. It also has not the thinnest consistency, which I like because it makes it last longer. Really, really good. This is in the same vein as the Rose Ink cream blushes that I love in terms of consistency, and the one I'm also going to mention next, which is the Tower 28 cream blushes. I'm obsessed with these. I have 2 shades, Golden Hour and Magic Hour, which is my obsession. I need to grab their newer one that is like a berry tone in fall. Sweetie, it's gonna be so cute. But these are really, really good. I'm obsessed with these, and they just melt into the skin. They give that same sheen to the cheek, but it's not super, it's too dewy looking. I don't know. I'm obsessed with these. They last really long on the cheeks too. Like, girl, can't go wrong. Okay, next, let's move on to a stick. I'm obsessed with the Ilia multi-sticks. They're just so good. This is the shade Ladybird, and like, I'm wearing it on my cheeks today. It is just gorge. I mean, look at that. It's just so good. It's like a neutral tone. It'll look good on so many complexions. And I honestly can't recommend this enough. And I know so many different people with different complexions that have this specific shade that are obsessed with it, but the multi-sticks are really good. They last super long on my cheeks. They just give me the perfect flush. They're the perfect consistency where they're not super, super thin, but they aren't thick. Like they melt into the skin, but they have like they pack a punch. Really good. I'm obsessed. And then next, the Say Beauty. I have all of them. Liquid blushes. I'm obsessed with these. They're so good. They last really long on the cheeks and they just melt into the skin. They are so pigmented. So pigmented. If you're a big fan of the Rare Beauty blushes, but you want something that doesn't necessarily set up in 3 seconds and then like you have no time to blend it out, these are great alternatives. The shades are just, I mean, look at them. They're just so good. And they're new shades. They have, actually it might be, these are these two. Let me show you the newest shades that they came out with. They have the shade, this one here, which is spicy, and then the shade chili, just gorgeous. And both would be gorgeous, 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 gorgeous for going into the cooler months. My personal favorite that I've been, or my most used shade, the new ones I'm not including in that just because they're new, Rosy. Really good. I've worn this a ton on camera and I'm obsessed with it. And you guys are obsessed with it too. This is like one that you guys always talk about. Okay, so the next, let's move on to powders. So I have a couple options depending on your preference. First, no one's gonna be shocked by this. I've recommended this literally since launch. The Kosas powder. I'm obsessed with this. This is the shade Cushiony. I also have the shade Pillowy. Really, really good. Melts into the skin, holds your makeup in place, but doesn't mattify too much, lets the natural dew come through. It's not like 100% translucent though, so it does have some color to it. So just make sure you get the shade that kind of works for you, because sometimes Pillowy is a little bit too neutral for me. Sometimes Cushiony is a little bit too yellow, but I can make them work. Both really, really nice. Melt into the skin like perfection, makes your skin look flawless. Really, really good if you're trying to, especially here, if you have like pores, it really helps just blur. I'm obsessed. Okay, so the next, let's move on to powders that aren't in a pan. So I have this one here, the Ilia powder. This is a true translucent powder. I'm obsessed with this. I know it's scary because it's white, but I've seen people with super, super, super dark complexions, like true deep, deep complexions use this, and it doesn't flash back on them. It doesn't look white on them. I don't know what hocus pocus magic is in this, but it's so freaking good. It blurs. It's more mattifying. So if you don't love super mattifying, this might not be for you, but this is one that I would wear for like events or when I'm going to be out for a really long time and I need my makeup to last all day, but I also want a more perfected blurred finish. This is really good. Okay, next, let's move on to, let's do gloss next. So I have two options for glosses. One is a lip oil and one is a true lip gloss. So first we have the Tower 28 lip glosses, and specifically this shade here going into fall, Almond. Girl, let's put a little on. She's so good. It's so shiny. It gives me some hydration. It just is gorgeous. I'm obsessed with this. Do you like the Tower 28 lip glosses? They're so good. I also have the clear one. Really, really good. I mean, you honestly cannot go wrong with these, and they have a nice thin consistency, so you don't get that like stringiness that you can get from like other lip glosses. You know what I mean? Really, really good. Okay, so the next we have a lip oil, which I really like. The LYS Beauty lip oil, and this is so, so good. It's a thicker consistency, so it lasts super, super long. Definitely lasts longer than the Tower 28. I would say out of all the glossy items I have, it is the most long wearing because it's also the thickest. They've expanded the shade range, so I believe that there's 3 shades now, but this is really, really good. Super, super good. Leaves my lips feeling hydrated. Doesn't give you, you know how sometimes like thicker glosses, when you wear them, they kind of give you that like your lips are gloss, but your lips are still dry underneath kind of feeling. I don't know if I'm alone on that, but this is really, really good. Super hydrating, really good. Great, like super glossy look. Huge fan of both of these. Okay, so the next. The Mera Beauty lipsticks are just so good. So I have 2 shades. I have the shade Slip, which is my obsession. It's just such a good neutral tone. And if you are my complexion, I highly recommend it. It's just so gorgeous. I don't know if you can see it. I did a terrible job swatching that. There you go. It's like a really pretty, like light brown, but it has like a touch of warmth, but it's not super warm where it almost comes off as like red, because sometimes they can like, the undertones just don't work. It's like a nice neutral tone. It works well with a lot of different like lipsticks, lip liners. It layers beautifully. It's hydrating. I don't know. I'm a really big fan of their lipsticks. And then I also have the shade Love and You, which is just gorgeous and like, I mean, yeah, slap it on my lips. Slap it on my lips. It's so good. And you can create like the most gorgeous stain with this. I'm going to do a look with this soon for you guys because I'm just in that like bitten lip, like pinched, like I was just outside. Oh my goodness. Look. You know what I mean? Where your like cheeks are a little flushed, your lips have a little bit of a stain to them. Just so good. And when you make these into stains, so you apply it, you kind of stain it out, they like don't budge. It's really good. Okay, so next let's move on to eyes and then products, and then we're done and I can stop talking. This has been the longest video ever. The Cool Feet eyeliner. And then also the Cali Ray Beauty eyeliner. Depends on, both have like a similar shade range. They both have browns and like a blue. The Cool Feet has more options. However, the Cool Feet is a twist up. I know a lot of people don't like a twist up. I don't know why, but I respect it. It's kind of a pain in the butt and they can break easier. The Cali Ray Beauty ones are sharpener ones. So both are really great. The Cali Ray Beauty ones are more matte. So there's also that difference formula wise there. I would say the Cool Feet one lasts a little bit longer than the Cali Ray Beauty one, but both are really good at smudging. So I know that like Avril Lavigne eyeliner is coming back, you guys, okay? Grungy eyeliner, Jenny Humphreys eyeliner is coming back. Both of these would be really good for smudging for that. And they last really, really long. They have like a really nice longevity to them. The only eyeliner I've ever used that has better longevity than these two is the Persona Cosmetics one. So that's kind of that there, but I'm a really big fan of both of these and you cannot go wrong. And it just kind of depends on your preference. Again, the Cool Feet one has a couple more shades. I believe there's like 6 shades. There's 3 shades, if I'm remembering correctly, of the Cali Ray Beauty one. And the Cali Ray Beauty one is a little bit more matte. But both are really, really good. Okay, so the next, let's move on to mascaras. I have 2 mascara recommendations. One, none of you are shocked by. And if you are, you must be new here. Because it's this one. It's the Ilia mascara, the Limitless mascara. It's just, oh my gosh, something I'm like, you ever just feel a hair phantom floating on your face? Because that's what's happening right now. This is the mascara I'm wearing today. This is my favorite mascara. Literally nothing has so far like removed it from its like position as number 1. It is so good. It is a plastic wand, which shockingly, I'm into plastic wands these days, you guys. Besides this one, I'm into other ones as well. Really, really good. Double-sided, so long bristles on this side, short bristles on this side. Really good. I can't get enough of this mascara. I ran out of it for a while and I just never repurchased it because I had a bunch of other mascaras I wanted to get through. Then I repurchased it and I was like, if I ever run out of this again, it'll be a mistake because I'm obsessed with it. It's so good. Okay, so next, this mascara here, the Tower 28 mascara. I'm a huge fan of this. This literally doesn't move. You need to definitely, if you're using micellar water or something, put the cotton pad on, let it sit for a second, let it marinate, break it up, and then it removes relatively easy, but this doesn't move, and if you have sensitive eyes, this is definitely one to check out. I know this is a lot of people's like holy grails, like obsession since it's come out. Really, really, really good, and it just gives me the most beautiful lash look. Now, it doesn't give me quite what the Ilia mascara gives me. I would say the Ilia one is a little bit more versatile in the sense that I can go full send with my lashes or a little bit more Glossier Lash Lick vibes. Both cute. They're different girls though. They are. Okay, so then next, let's move on to eyeshadow. So I have a couple eyeshadow options and they're all different. So first, the Ilia, like what is it called? These lashing liquid powder matte eye tint. It's so good. So this is the shade Tannin. I use this all, I'm obsessed with it. I need to get another shade. It's just so good. It's so thin. And let me show you how it blends because I wasn't as big of a fan of the ones that weren't like the matte eye tints. But like, look at that. It's so like, it's just so thin. It like literally is a wash of color on your lids. It doesn't move. It doesn't move, you guys. It is locked on your eyes. all day. She's there to stay for sure. She's really good. I'm obsessed with these. There's so many shade options. It's not just neutrals. There's some fun shades in there too. Huge fan. Okay, next let's move on to eyeshadow palettes. The Sephora Bounce palette. So this is the Sephora Clean Bounce eyeshadow palette, and the shade I believe is the shade Monarch. They have like 3 now. I'm obsessed with this palette. So this is a putty palette. As you can see, let me just show you how you can like squish it all. It is so good. Honestly, these are slept on. They're not talked about enough, like at all in any way. And they need to be talked about more. They're so good. The shades on this, like, let me just show you the orange and the yellow specifically, because I know. Let's do one more just for good measure. We'll do the lightest color so you can see. You guys, what's happening with my hair on this side? Jeez. You guys. It is just so good. They are just so good. I've talked about it a ton of times. I love to wear it. Sometimes I'll wear a primer underneath it. You don't necessarily have to. Depends on the day how oily my eyelids are, because my lids do get pretty oily at times. So it kind of depends on the day, but like so good. I literally, I'm obsessed with this palette. I talk about this all the time. I've done looks with this, and you can just use your fingers. It also works well with brushes. It's just incredible. Okay, next, let's go on to tools, and then we're done. Are you sick of me yet? I'm sick of me. I'm sick of my voice, for sure. Just yapping on forever. During the Sephora sale, Sephora stuff is like 30% off, like the Sephora brand stuff. The Sephora brand brushes. The Sephora brand brushes are so good. So these are my favorites that I have. 59, 96, 99, 93. This is the one I used today on my cheeks. It's just so freaking good. I'm obsessed with these. You cannot go wrong with Sephora brushes. I swear to God. I know they're not the cheapest. I believe each of these was $30, and I believe their eyeshadow brushes, if I'm remembering correctly, is about $20, but really, really good. They'll last you forever. They don't shed, and they're just honestly unmatched. And their blush brushes specifically, out of all of the brushes, these are by far my favorite, but they have a concealer brush, which I should have grabbed. I didn't grab it. They have a concealer brush that is also really, really good. I'll link everything down below, but I am a huge freaking fan. You cannot go wrong. You just can't. Okay, and last but not least, my favorite foundation brush of all time. And they started carrying it again because they stopped carrying it for a while. And one of you was like, hey, by the way, they carry it again. And I was like, oh, run and grab it. The IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe No. 7 brush is so freaking good. I'm obsessed with it. It just blends your makeup seamlessly. I don't care what, you can use it for literally anything. I've used it for blush. I've used it for bronzer. I've used it for foundation. I've used it to tone down my blush or my bronzer, or to even just go with this side and do a little bit of highlight. Or this is just such a good versatile brush. This side is really, really great for pinpointing, for doing under your eyes. I prefer like a beauty sponge sometimes under my eyes, or the Ami Collet concealer brush, which is really, really good. But this is still good for under your eyes. This is an incredible brush. Like, I don't care. I've used so many foundation brushes. I have not found anything better than this. If you have any recommendations for brushes you think are better than this, if you've used this, let me know down below. But there's a reason that this is in most makeup artists' bags. Like, it's so good. Highly recommend. And yeah, that is it for my Sephora holiday sale clean beauty recommendations. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you're buying. Let me know down below. And let me know if you want me to go into skincare and hair, because I can definitely do that. Or if you want me to do what's in my cart, because I can definitely do that. I know a lot of people do those videos and they tell you what they're going to buy or what they just bought. I'm going to be shopping literally the day everything goes live, so I will have had my cart already. So let me know if that's something you're interested in down below. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.